this whole idea of a trade like a bank trader is good for marketing, but it's not necessarily like something that can be translated into, the retail world.
Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock-solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, Walter, do you think that bank traders have an advantage over retail traders? That's a common thing that's being pushed when they sell some courses, right? Trade the bank trader system or whatever. What do you think about that?
Well, I can tell you that the bank traders that I know of that are either or institutional traders, I should say, some of them are bank traders. They don't see it that way at all. I mean, they like my brother-in-law is essentially a hedge fund trader. I have many friends and students that have worked at banks or do work at banks and institutions like hedge funds. And I can tell you that they do see it differently. So we get, well, at least in my world, a lot of the traders I know, we're looking at technical stuff, right? So we have technical systems. They can't necessarily take a trade because of that. They have to have fundamental reasons, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and part of the reason why is the institutions are set up. So the way that they work is they have the people who take the trades and make the decisions to trade. They have the risk managers to make sure that the people taking the trades aren't screwing up with the risk. And then they have the analytical department. Now, sometimes this is not part of the institution. Like sometimes you'll subscribe, like if you're a small hedge fund, you might subscribe to different analysis from different companies, right? But essentially the analysis, the analysts, they tell you which trades to take, right? So the analysts are saying oh, the yen's going to go down over the next quarter because of X, Y, and Z, or Tesla stock is in trouble, or you should really get into Google now, or Alphabet, or whatever. You know what I mean? So they'll have all and it's the same for currencies. So they'll have all these reports and they'll have or they'll have analysts at their fingertips. Do you know what I mean? So they're feeding them all this really in detailed information, and the traders are supposed to make informed decisions based on that. So now they're going to have, some of them are going to have technical guys too. But that's just a really small part of the pie. Whereas, as I see it, technical analysis for us, at-home traders is a bigger piece of it. And we put a bigger emphasis on that. And obviously, fundamental analysis can come into it as well. But I think that those traders at those institutions, it's a little bit different. Also, they use stop losses differently. So they might use options and things like that, right, to cover the downside risk. So it's very different. Now, the ones that I've talked to, they all tell me they're fascinated, by the way, at my approach to risk. So when we start talking risk, they're really fascinated because they look at it a completely different way. And the other thing is, I've heard several times I say, well, I've never worked at an institution. I've worked with a bunch of cowboys, kind of doing our own thing, but I've never really worked at Credit Suisse or UBS or Bank of America or anything like that. And they go, that's good. They go, you're a virgin. That's good. You don't want to do that, because you get indoctrinated into their stuff. They're like, that's totally cool. There's a guy here in Sydney. He runs the trading desk at a company, at an institution, and he said, you're so lucky. So I'm like, okay, cool, man. We've told the same thing. I don't know if you remember. Oh, there was this. We did a group at in England at Birmingham. We had a trading group. Alex, who did our London conference, right? Mm-hmm. He was asking the group. I love Alex, by the way. He's an awesome guy. Okay, he was asking the group, and I think he's working for a trading institution right now, but he wasn't before, right? He just had a normal business, and like we were saying in our previous podcast about business owners and things like that, he's a really successful businessman, and he was learning trading, and he was asking us, the group. He was saying, hey, I feel like I don't have I understand naked trading and price action and stuff, but I don't really understand all the other stuff, like the indicators like MACD and RSI. He's like, I feel like I don't have enough. I don't have a broad, experience. And we're like, no. We're like, don't do it. You'll confuse yourself. You know what I mean? You've locked into something that works for you. Just stick with that. Across the board, everybody at the round table, there's 10 of us. We all said the same thing, which is, Alex, don't worry about it, buddy. You're on the right path. Don't get pulled down the wrong path and start something new. Because that's that's the road to the cycle of doom, where you keep looking for a better system, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So he was like, oh, okay, and he's totally open guy, right? But I think now he works with traders, or he may be actually at this stage be one of the traders that he work that work at an institution, because he really wanted to be in that world, So he
Mhm.
got kind of extracted himself from his business, and he's doing that now, and he's an awesome guy. And his talk, one of my favorite talks at the London conference. So yeah,
Oh yeah,
he's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So anyway, that's an example of that, right? Of this idea of being a virgin, not in a different way, in that he was only really had one approach to his technical analysis at the time. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, and I think what was that guy's name? The bank trader, Raul or something like that.
Raul. Yeah, Raul.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I was talking to him, and he said, yeah, being a bank trader sometimes, or a lot of the time, isn't maybe as glamorous as people think it is, because a lot of times they're also executing a lot of client trades. So
yeah.
they're kept busy just executing those trades, and they don't, have time for their own trades sometimes. So I mean, I think this whole idea of a or trade like a bank trader is good for marketing, but it's not necessarily like something that can be translated into, the retail world, like you said.
Yeah, I think some people, they think that you're like a prop trader if you're at a bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Where
yeah.
you kind of have free reign to just make as much money as you want, or under a certain amount of risk or whatever. It's not necessarily like that. Like you're saying, they're just, a lot of times they're just taking orders. They're like, okay, Toyota's got this, we got to do this today,
Mhm.
or before Friday, we got to get this done. Stuff like that. So yeah, that's true.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Walter.
Thanks.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.